Okay, we looked at the M. So remember at the beginning, no problem. Many men make money. The problem is when it comes at the end. Remember that perhaps at the beginning of Look, Listen, and Learn, you had to say my names, and some of you said my name, or come here. Is this your hat? Come here, Sandy. Yes, Miss Williams. So many men make money. Tom and Kim didn't come when Jim came. Especially notice that when you have a consonant and a vowel, you link them together. I'm my mom's favorite child. Look at them, Sam. Some of them are murmuring. And that's it. Next. Page 78. You have the report. I know it's hateful, but you are very likely to have a report with a proposal in the options, and perhaps if you don't have a lot of talent at writing, it may be worth trying, okay? Like memorizing a number of sentences and writing a report. I have a little introduction here. We can revise it in class when you come. But anyway, so you know that in the report, you can read the task that you have in number 4 if you want. But in the report, there's a current situation, and very often you need to gather the opinions of people. Perhaps you need to gather the opinions of your classmates, of your co-workers, people at university, people who've been on an exchange program abroad. And then using that information, one of the paragraphs is like an analysis of the current situation. And you normally draw from these opinions that the people questioned have given you. Okay, so this is like an example of this. Actually, you don't really conduct a survey, okay, but you more or less have to imagine it and make up the results. Okay, so this is like a little introduction. Complete it for yourself, okay, and we'll check it in class. Live up to, I like this one, live up to my expectations. Estar a la altura. Now, in number 2, you have like a little report. A report is an informe of this. So this would be like one of the paragraphs. This is too long. In your report, this would take up one paragraph, the one about current situation. Okay, you wouldn't do it like this, but anyway, it may give you an idea of what expressions you can use. Now you can do this. You can skip it, do whatever you want. I'm not going to go through it. On page 145, you have the results, like 30% of the people, 20%, whatever, the results. So you have to read this and see if it gives an accurate account of the results. This is an accurate, precise account of, it's like a summary. Yeah. It's not important because in your report or proposal, you'll make up the information. So it doesn't really matter if it's accurate or not because you don't have it. I think in the TOEFL, perhaps, I remember a student asked me to help him with the TOEFL. I don't know if there was something like this. It was a report, but you did have all the results. So you had like some graphs, like with percentages, and you had to report the results, but not in this one. No, you don't have this. Okay, so read it. You can decide if it's accurate or not. I'm not going to, but you can do it. It may help you. Okay. So now this, yes. Find the ways to express contrast between two results or points of view. 4 formal phrases referring to the people, the ones, the interviewees, the people interviewed, whatever. Okay. And 2 formal words for think. This is so that you have a variety of language when you report the results of this survey that you've made up. But it is useful because you can use this language in your report. Okay. So ready? Make sure you have it. I'm going to read this in 3, 2, 1. Now, if I haven't missed one, these are the structures you have to find. Okay, so check, and then I'll tell you what they do. But you should have, if you got them well, you should have chosen them properly. So 3, 2, 1. So respondents, the people. This is number 2. The people, the respondents, the participants, those surveyed, no? Survey is una encuesta, so los encuestados, I think I can say in Spanish. Okay, and those, many of those whose opinions we sought. Sought, remember, comes from seek, sought. Seek is look for. So this is what I want you to write, 666, so I know you've been listening. Now, that's number 2. Then for contrast, you had while, strange as it may seem, although it may seem. Instead, you can say strange as it may seem, or write it down, strange though it may seem. Strange though it may seem. I normally use though, but anyway, for extra que parezca. Next, you have one, and then on the one hand, on the other hand, and notwithstanding is PSA. Notwithstanding, this is used in formal writings. Wendy, if you study law, notwithstanding, sin prejuicio, es like sin prejuicio de lo anterior, de lo dispuesto anteriormente. Notwithstanding the above is an expression. Notwithstanding, and for you to lose in your future translator. Notwithstanding the above. And the last one was regard and consider. It's another ways, regard, consider, other ways of saying think. Now, I've told you this before, but anyway, this is some vocabulary that you can use. Now, use headings. I don't know what I'm doing. Use headings, headings encabezados. Now, how to prepare an amazing report. Always read the task carefully. So, read the task. This is the task you have to do, number 4. So, this is what you have to do. Okay, the task will always tell you how to organize the information. So, you prepare the plan according to this information. In this case, in this case, you can have 2 paragraphs. Okay, one, a little analysis of the most common approaches, and another paragraph, customer's response. For example, customer or consumer's response, or you can just consumer response. Response would be response. Consumer response without anything, as if it was an adjective. Consumer response, not like possession. Okay. So that's what I would do. A heading, remember, like attitudes on advertising, for example, in Spain. Attitudes to advertising in Spain. Then introduction, the paragraph about common approaches, consumer response, and then recommendations, because you have to recommend changes, and always bearing this in mind so they are more effective. So let's look at this. Title, introduction. Introduction, remember, is this sentence that we always copy. The principal aims of this report are to, and then you write the task. You can paraphrase the task a little. I don't know. That's why this went crazy before. Sorry. The principal aims are to analyze the common approaches used, the common advertising approaches used. You have to mention approaches. Well, you've written it in the title. Perhaps you can avoid it. Okay, comma, the consumer response to this, and then I'll go on to suggest some ways, some changes to make these more effective. That's the introduction. Always more or less the same sentence, but including the information you have in the task. I'm doing this all the time wrong. Okay, so that's the introduction. Second paragraph, current situation, or depending on the task. So in this case, I wouldn't say current situation. I would put this common approaches. Now here you have to use some of the sentences you have on page 174 that we've seen to talk about the current situation. At present, blah blah blah. Okay, always using the language that we're going to look at after this. The other one, depending on the task, in this case, consumer response. Here you would use all this language of the survey. Okay, I conducted a survey among a percentage of the population or whatever. So I would write something like that. Okay, here's where I use all this information about the survey. Recommendations. Then, in light of the above, en vista de lo cual, okay, therefore my recommendations would be as follows. Okay, and this is later. And then remember, 3 bullet points. Perhaps here you may have lots of recommendations. I don't know, but normally 3. 2 is very little. 4, 5 is too much. Remember the idea, and then always why, but like briefly. Now we look at the language, but always this. this should be done so as to change opinions, blah, blah, and to make it more effective, to reach more people. Or using Instagram, you can suggest. Okay. Now you can write a conclusion, but normally what I do is after the recommendations, I include this sentence. Should all these recommendations? We saw this in this unit, no? In the conditional. Should you? If you should, no? Or if you happen to, it's like advanced conditional. Should all these recommendations, like if all these recommendations, should all these recommendations be followed through or be put into practice or implemented? I would say implemented is a formal word. Be implemented. I'm confident that advertising will, or the effectiveness of advertising will increase. Okay, so that's it. So you always try to use formal words. So you write the ideas. Remember, for example, you come up with vocabulary you can use, like this effectiveness, or using effectiveness. So you use that effectiveness. I can use this. That's why you plan the ideas, which is more or less what I've helped you do. You write it down, making sure you follow the planning. You use the headings, and then you proofread carefully. Check all the mistakes that you've made before in part 6, the ones that you probably haven't recorded. But I feel happy now with my work. I don't know about you, but I feel that I'm really doing my best. Okay. Now, before we move on to the language you can use, you have some ideas here. You can use them or not. Perhaps you can use them since you may not be aware of the advertising techniques that there are. So you can use some of these ideas. Okay, this is what is student plan. Telemarketing, advertising hoardings is via publicitarias. In American English is billboards. Junk mail, correo basura, or junk email. You understand? Pop-ups is the windows that appear. Pop. On my phone, I have a Samsung. It says always block pop-ups. So it blocks them automatically. And most computers nowadays block them. In the past, you got pop-ups all the time. But now I think most browsers block them. Giveaways is like samples. Imagine, they give it away. Regalar algo. These are some ideas. Okay, so this, for example, that's a suggestion. Better giveaways or better training of telemarketers so that people are more professional. I think the telemarketers are pretty good. I just can't put up with them, but I think they are pretty good. You can use some of these ideas. So these are the methods that are used in Spain. You can make a little analysis, okay, or a little summary, like 50, 60 words. So choose 2 or 3. The most common ones are, and then the response. Okay, so you have to make up a survey and the results of that survey, and you summarize the results here, how people feel about those types of approaches. Now, language. It is formal, so no contractions. Use headings and bullet points in the recommendation, only in the recommendation. Let's see, I don't know why, probably you don't listen to this, because if it's written, how is it possible that some of you don't do it well? Okay, avoid always the use. This, avoid it in general. In the only one where you can write this is an informal email, perhaps. But even there, I mean, there you can use it a couple of times. But if you don't use it, better. Okay, impersonal style, because when it's formal essays, etc., it's better to use an impersonal style. So it is obvious, it's clear, it's necessary. It is considered the passive. Something was invented. It is believed, no? Or you can use reported passive. I've just seen it with a couple of groups. Telemarketing is considered the worst kind of no? Oh. Telemarketing is believed to or was criticized as passive or reported passive, which is here. It is believed that, it was claimed that, during the survey it was claimed that this advertising, so you can use, obviously don't use it 7 times, but you can use one like this, one like telemarketing is believed to, another passive, then an impersonal sentence. It is obvious, it's clear, it's necessary, people believed. Now the structures on page 174, we saw that, and the language, for example, effectiveness. So I told you, I said, or put into practice, and I said, well, you can say implement. So you have to make a little effort to think of formal words. Now you have to be very careful, because when you use formal words, they have a reduced, like the variety of options when you use formal language is very reduced. So if you're not careful, you are likely to take a word from the internet, use it, and use it badly, or with the wrong meaning. This happens very often. Or you use too many words and it makes it difficult to read. So you have to be really, really careful. I know it's difficult, but you can always copy little by little the expressions that you appear, that you see here in the book, or which appear in the book. So Latin sounding words, what I told you, no? Implementar in Spanish. Effectiveness, efectividad. I didn't use linking devices, perhaps some adverbs or opinion. You see, while, although, you had some of these on page 78. Okay, so all if necessary. Here, if there's some contrast within the opinions, you can use it, but don't force them because you don't really need to. And that's it. So you have some reminders here, which I've given you too, on repeated occasions. We've seen these sentences that you can use. I've already told you the ones that I would use if I were you, but you have more here. I think one of the first times we did this, we highlighted them, so I'm not going to do it again. So prepare it carefully. You should spend close to 1 hour. You have an hour and 30, I think, in the exam. So you should spend 45 minutes reading it, preparing it, writing it, and revising your report. So 45 minutes, this should have taken you like 30 minutes. It's still an hour and a quarter of your time, plus the videos. Not that much. That's it. Thank you very much. Bye.